Hey guys, welcome. This is Charles from the Number One Agency, and I'm joined today on the very first podcast by Raf, who's very kindly agreed to join us. He's the director at the search agency. He works with Matt Diggity, and he's one of the best SEO companies in the world. Hello, Raf. How you doing, mate?
Thanks for having me. It's the Search Initiative, and
Yep.
we've been running since around about 2017.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'm really, really pleased to have you on board because, as you know, we do SEO as well. But I've always been a fan of Matt Diggity, and by default, the Search Initiative, and you guys get some amazing results in some pretty hard niches, don't you?
Yeah, I would say so. We get higher than average. I would say definitely much higher than the average SEO agency. Because the thing with SEO is that you're never going to be able to have a 100% success rate with every single project that you take on. And it's good to have humility around that, even if you're like one of the best SEO companies in the world. It's good to be realistic. And I like to be very matter of fact about these kind of things. But I find that based on just information that I've gained, the average success rate of an SEO company tends to be around about 50%, flip of a coin. When I say success rate, I mean hitting the KPIs that you had set out to do from the very beginning. So ours is quite a bit higher than that. It's around about 85%.
Which is pretty good. Yeah.
So yeah, we do good work, but I like to be specific because anyone can say, "Hey, we're the best. We do this with it," but I like to be clear about exactly why we're good and how we're good. And
100%, yeah. And I think that's what drew me to you guys as well, because there's a lot of honesty around what you do, which is unusual in the SEO industry. And
right.
some of the case studies you guys put out there are pretty incredible. So it's great to have you on board, mate.
Thank you.
So, I do just a general chat really about SEO today. But I was going to say, one of the questions I keep getting asked is it even relevant still in 2024? Is SEO still relevant? Does it still work now? So, what's your thoughts on that one, mate?
This is I mean, this is the same question that's been asked for like the past 10 years, to be honest. It's one of those questions where...
Sorry, I just jump in. I guess I know what you mean, but then I also know what people mean when they ask me, because there's some really visual changes on Google now when you search, isn't there, with AI and stuff like that. So I guess it's kind of like, the question's been around, but I just find it's people asking it a lot more these days. But yeah, go for it.
No, for sure. The goalposts will shift from time to time when updates happen, just like how goalposts shift when a new innovation comes out. When Amazon starts taking over small businesses, and you have to shift in that way. The same thing with this AI stuff and the big Google algorithm updates. You kind of have to shift. So, for example, let me be specific. If you have a site where the business model and the way that you monetize it and what you have to offer through that site is easily replaceable by AI, then you're not going to be in business for very long. Like, for example, there are sites that, used to pay like maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, decent budget SEO campaigns. And the function was just telling people the opening hours for different stores and different gyms. And do you know what I mean? They just told people opening hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those kind of sites get phased out first.
Basic
They're the
info.
first to go. Yeah, basic info sites. Like, that's easy. Even before this AI stuff appeared on Google, and it would answer your questions way before. And now it's like, okay, so what are we looking at? The more informational, more in-depth sites, even the travel sites where it's like, best places to visit during this time, and so on and so on. There's all information.
Yeah.
And it's difficult because you've got people who with legit experience around that particular topic and around that niche, direct experience, people who have actually traveled themselves to different places and actually directly reviewed places. And regardless, like, they're still getting hit because Google can just churn out an answer by just condensing down data from different places and say, here's, according to all the data that we have across every site that we have access to, here's the most logical answer for you. And it tends to be right more often than none, even more accurate than people who with direct experience. Because if you think about it, someone with direct experience, even if they're very impartial, that's just one perspective.
Yeah.
so somewhat biased, or it's, exactly. Well, yeah, no, to answer your main question, as long as there is a search engine, there will always be a place for SEO. As I say, it's just the goalposts will shift from time to time. You just have to make sure that the business that you're trying to rank on Google is always going to be somewhere that people need to go to get what you're offering. So, for example, if you're selling a particular product, AI is not going to replace that.
100%. Yeah.
If you say e-commerce,
that's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting because I read something the other day where AI effectively nicked this guy's content and put it out there as Google AI generated.
Yeah,
and there's no reference to the guy who had written the content.
There's no reference.
No.
It doesn't even include it in the little.
No. So he got nothing from it. His site didn't show. It just came up as Google AI. So it was like, wow,
that's so cheeky.
Yeah, but what can you do? But I guess, there's been a lot of information sites and a lot of affiliate sites, that kind of stuff, that are going to be losing out more. And so I've always been more B2B myself in terms of dealing with SEO. So I'm looking out for businesses that are actually out there selling stuff. I don't mean businesses that are not B2C. I mean, for myself, B2B. So I'm looking for businesses rather than individuals, and affiliates, I think, really is what we're trying to say, isn't it? Because
exactly.
Selling sites, e-commerce, the AI can't replace that. In fact, it might help you.
SaaS as well.
Even
professional services as well, like local businesses. You need a plumber. These kind of things that are unlikely to ever be replaced by AI. People always need these things. And also, it's unlikely to be, even with the likes of people like Amazon, there will always be someone who tries to monopolize on a particular product or selling a particular type of products.
Yeah.
But that always balances itself out over time, because the capitalistic way of how everything runs is it tends to break up monopolies over time. Naturally. So monopolies happen and then they break up, and then they happen and they break up. It happens naturally. So this fear around, for example, even to be honest, even with the affiliate stuff, to be fair, like you Reddit now taking over everything, right? You can objectively say that Reddit replacing real, more reliable takes on things is worsening the search results instead of enriching them. And people don't like that. The user engagement is dropping. And Google's bottom line depends, ultimately, I know 80% of its revenue is from ads, but ultimately, those ads are only riding on the reliability of the organic search results. So once people enjoy their time less on Google, everything starts to suffer. So their bottom line depends on the reliability of their organic search results.
Yes.
So if people are having a poorer time on their, just always finding these behemoth forums like Reddit.
Yeah.
Google's going to react sooner or later.
You're unlikely to say it must be true because I read it on Reddit.
That's it. Yeah, true. Exactly.
So, no, that's very interesting. So what you're saying is basically, if you're a business, if you're a legit business out there, there's 100% still a place for SEO, and you're still going to benefit. And AI, if anything, is going to help you rather than hinder you, especially if you're selling something that's better than everyone else.
Correct. Yeah, you just have to make sure that you're competitive with what you're offering, and that what you're offering is actually in line with what the current market needs. It's just like business 101. You got to adapt with the demand and with the current infrastructure of the market.
Yeah.
So that doesn't change. But in terms of SEO being useful, I mean, as long as there's a search engine, there are ways that you can make your site more attractive to those search engines by tweaking it based on what that search engine is looking for. Markers that would deem your site more relevant and more authoritative and reliable.
Yeah. No, that's and so what are your thoughts around video content? Because I know that seems to be I mean, obviously it's becoming more and more, and I'm whenever I speak to clients, I always say, you should be getting into video because even if it doesn't help your SEO, which I think it does, it'll certainly help your sales because people seem to respond to video more. But what's your thoughts around video in terms of SEO and that kind of thing?
Oh, in terms of SEO?
Well, as a general thing, but in terms of SEO, we'll start off with SEO and then see how it goes.
So in terms of SEO, there are, it depends on what kind of business you're talking about and what kind of keywords a page it needs to rank for.
Yeah.
Because the intent shifts greatly from keyword to keyword and niche to niche. So there are some keywords within some niches where an embedded video or a relevant video on that page massively helps.
Okay.
It's like a common, because you check for common patterns in the top 5 or 10 people who are ranking highest. And you see what common elements that they share, the patterns that they share that maybe you're lacking. And if you're lacking it, Google's rewarding that particular thing, you might want to include it, and if a video is one of those things, then.
So you're saying that can differ in different industries?
Correct. Yeah. Because if you think if you're, well, maybe even plumbing, maybe that it could apply. I'm just trying to think of some super vague products or service where just video won't be relevant. Because if you do water drainage, right?
Yeah.
Or if you do gutters, right? And that's the service that you offer. It's very unlikely that video will be useful for you. And it's very unlikely that the same thing with the similar topic, but I guess.
And you don't want to show people how to do it because you're offering to do it for them.
Then you become a different type of site. You become an information or an educational site, but you don't want to be, it's a completely different kind of intent. That, by the way, that's a whole different rabbit hole as well, which is a mistake that people go down. If they're a service provider, they go down the rabbit hole so they go down the mistake of turning out a huge amount of informational and educational content. And then Google recognizes them as an educational site as opposed to a service provider.
Yes.
So they should be coming up. Right. And they should prioritize the service-based keywords, the keywords that actually drive them revenue, that create conversions for them, as opposed to things that people would just research. There are many sites out there who would educate people on this particular topic. Why are you making your site the service-based site about that? And if you want to make a site around that, create one that's just for that, and have it maybe then you can link it to this site. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, in terms
of YouTube and that, some people actually use YouTube as a search engine, don't they? So
yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Like whenever I'm researching something, I rarely ever use Google I do sometimes, but most of the time I use YouTube to get because I'm usually driving or training or something.
Yeah.
I don't usually have a spare minute to just sit and just reach through this random thing that I'm interested in. I just don't. I'm very busy.
When we say SEO as a general term, you tend to immediately just think Google, don't you? But there is such a thing as SEO for YouTube, isn't there? And for these other platforms. So
there are. And there are ways that you can make your videos more attractive and make your channel more attractive for those search engines. Yeah, definitely. But I think you're right. Video is becoming more and more popular, and it seems as though people have more and more of an appetite for longer videos as opposed to, because people thought, people's attention span is getting shorter and shorter, and they just want these short, these these TikTok style
reels.
Yeah. But actually, there's a real thirst for granular information in the form of long form content.
On that's interesting.
Video content.
That's really interesting. Yeah. And I noticed Matt said in one of his blogs recently, the response he gets from, I can't remember the figures he said, but the leads he gets from a video as compared to a traditional blog or a case study is phenomenal. It's like 70% instead of 17%. I can't remember the exact figures, but
I can confirm that from experience. That's he's definitely right. I'm the one who handles the leads that come in as a result of his videos, so I can see.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
How many leads
videos are working?
Videos definitely work. They're very good, and also the way he edits. So we basically have a pipeline of projects that need to be made into case studies, and there's data around these projects, and we give Matt and a couple of his guys who help him put these videos together and edit them together. We give him all the information around this particular project, all the stuff that we did and the results and blah, 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 and how they started and where they are now.
Yeah.
And then he and his team collate that into a script type of format. And then and you have the main camera on him, and then you have the B-roll, and then you have the little edits here and there to make things more engaging, and the sound effects and the special effects. So he does it in a really clever way that keeps you engaged, but also not in like a dorky way. It's like it's in a way where it's to the point, concise, has the information that you want. There's some humor in there, but not too much. So it's like, come on, just get to the point.
100%. Yeah. No, it's super interesting because I when I chat to clients as well, I say to them, like, get over that fear of being in front of camera, because I have it as well, but if you can just be yourself in front of a camera and talk about your products, your chances of growing your lead base is phenomenal.
Yeah, and just get straight to the point. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah from this and this, and I'm here to talk to you. But no, just say, here's blah, blah, blah. It does blah, blah. That's the best that kind of content gets the best engagement. Here is a cup. It holds water. And you get into it. My name is Rafid Nassir, and I make cups, and the cups that we make are blah, blah, blah. Let me show you one of my cups. And all of that just wastes a lot of time.
Yeah, no.
People don't care about that.
You want to be saying the reason this cup's better than this cup is because it does whatever.
Right, yeah, I hold water so much better than all,
no, 100%. So benefits, no, that's good. No, awesome. And so what we're saying is video overall is definitely a growth market.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, growth market.
I mean, obviously it's been around a long time, but I just think I see so many opportunities for business owners.
Yeah.
In terms of like, they maybe have a website, they have a bit of content, but they have no video, maybe even UGC, maybe even a bit of user generated content.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, right. So
I'm just thinking of opportunities here for
so I would say video has reached its maturity. So I wouldn't say it's growing in terms of the engagement and the demand, because the people, there's enough video content out there that's structured in a way that people want to find it, for them to see video as a reliable enough source of information.
Yes. Yeah.
So the demand is matured. But I guess there are two things that will change over time, I believe. Oh, hello. There's little party bowls.
Where the hell they come from?
I think it's why I did this. Apple has it. Look at that. No. Apple has this new update. I need to turn it off.
That's all good.
There's two things that I think will become more sophisticated over time. One is what you basically touched on is more companies using it better to more accurately represent their expertise within their niche and their knowledge and that kind of stuff. But two is the platforms that are available, and because right now YouTube is completely dominating and has complete dominion and monopoly over all video content, pretty much. Like, you've got Rumble and you've got even TikTok. People search for things on TikTok. Like, my wife searches for answers on TikTok, how to fix this problem, how to fix that, blah, blah, blah. But YouTube has complete monopoly, and as I was saying earlier, monopolies don't monopolize for too long. There's inevitably someone will, especially when they impose these infringements and the algorithm like silences certain people for saying certain things, whatever, and people don't like that. So you're going to find that there's going to be other channels. Maybe Rumble gets a lot better. Maybe you've got the different. Maybe Vimeo makes a comeback. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. So here's a question for you, which is sometimes I wonder myself, like, you're trying to build your YouTube channel, so you want as much views as possible. But when you're sharing a video like on LinkedIn and on Facebook, you actually get much better engagement if you upload the video straight to LinkedIn rather than put it as a linked video from YouTube onto LinkedIn. Does that make sense?
So the video is placed on LinkedIn, it's uploaded to LinkedIn as opposed to uploaded to YouTube.
So let's say you put a video up on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
As you're scrolling, it will start playing straight away.
Yeah.
However, if you've got a good following and people will want to see your content, and you're trying to grow your YouTube channel, you could put a link and it will show up as a video on LinkedIn, but it won't start playing until you click on it, and then it will play from YouTube, obviously.
Yeah.
So you kind of got that. Do I upload direct, or do I want to get more views on YouTube and lose a bit of content?
Yeah.
Engagement, from LinkedIn. So
what have you seen?
Something I puzzled.
What do you think is the best way around with that?
I've done both, to be honest.
Okay. And what gives you a better result?
Probably uploading direct to LinkedIn.
You reckon?
And not. That's because I haven't got a very big channel on YouTube. But I'm sort of thinking I need to grow that. And how do you tell people that you've got this channel on YouTube? So
yeah,
LinkedIn's very obviously it's very commercial. It's very but I don't know. I wondered if you'd come across that.
That's what I'm thinking, because LinkedIn is so that the audience that you might have on LinkedIn is very commercial. It's very like it's a particular type of audience.
Yeah.
So if you want that kind of engagement, and you want that audience to engage, you're better off just doing what you're doing and just uploading it directly. But I think what makes more sense to me is growing your YouTube channel isn't solely reliant on getting engagement from LinkedIn and from other social media platforms. Like you can use the YouTube algorithm specifically to grow your YouTube channel. And that would have a greater effect than all of the other methods combined of using all the different social media platforms. Because if you have videos and you make shorts out of them, for example, and you get like shorts are a great way of getting a huge amount of views like very, very quickly. And then in the description you have a link to the full video, or people go to your channel and follow you. That as well as actually just posting the videos on there as well.
That's super helpful. That and then you're kind of getting the best of both, aren't you? So you're growing your YouTube channel, but you're also getting maximum engagement.
Your question would imply that LinkedIn is like the main or only way of growing the YouTube, and like how else are you going to get views to your YouTube? But LinkedIn
I guess I'm just thinking to myself like that. Probably I've got my biggest base on LinkedIn. The second would be Facebook. YouTube would be a third at the moment. I'm trying to grow that, if you know what I mean. So
So definitely, do you do shorts then? Do you use
no,
shorts?
No, okay. That's something I need to do.
Try it. I've seen I've spoken to a lot of people who grow their YouTube channel, and they use shorts.
Okay.
And it's been very, very it's very fruitful for them.
Excellent. Oh, that's great. Great bit of advice there. That's worth doing this for. So, next question, AI. It's a big one that everyone's talking about. Your thoughts? I mean, I don't care if it says related or not.
Yeah, it's a very broad brush, and I think we've touched on a bit of it already. It's a very broad topic. I mean, I'll start with my personal. So I'll tell you what. We've interviewed people for jobs recently, and one of our main questions to people is, what are your thoughts on AI? And oftentimes we get the answers from people who don't really have direct experience with AI. They just know what they've heard from other people, and their response tends to be like slanderous of AI, and they tend to say, "Oh, it'll never replace humans." The typical answer that people would give, right?
Yeah.
But I tend to find that that's from a perspective that doesn't have actual real experience. So I'm I'll start with my personal experience with this. I'm what you'd call a late adopter, because I didn't really start using ChatGPT, for example, to help me with my day-to-day work until quite recently, like maybe a month or so ago. And because the stuff I do is very bespoke. It's very like, it's not like,
you're not.
I didn't think that AI would help. Let's just put it that way. I didn't think AI would be applicable. However, actually, like for example, if you get an inquiry from someone, because I don't know if you ever get this, but sometimes people would inquire through, and it's just one big block of text. No break. Nothing. And there's typos in there and grammatical errors, and you're like, oh my gosh, what are you saying? Let me just get down to the point of what you're saying. So literally, you can just chuck that into ChatGPT, and what is this person trying to say? Summarizing bullet points. What do they want? It breaks it down really. It gives you all the key points, and it's so much faster. Or for example, we do so when someone inquires through to us, we have an eligibility process that we take sites through to make sure that they're eligible for the service, that we're actually happy to take them on. And one of the things that we do to make sure of that is we do a light analysis for them. So these light analyses are done by the technical managers from the tech team. But they're usually in such a rush because they have other projects in there that they need to work on and that kind of thing. And the light analysis takes up maybe half an hour, maybe an hour of their time.
Yeah.
So they're chucking together the insights, but the wording isn't amazing. So one of us has to go in there and edit it so that it makes sense and actually attractive for the person to read, for the potential client to read. Because that is actually, even though it's part of the eligibility process, it's also one of the main things that gives the client or potential client an idea and an impression of who we are and how we operate. So it needs to be worded nicely, it needs to be worded well and understandable and accurate and all this kind of stuff. So editing that often also falls on my lap. So, makes copywriting very different to content writing.
Yeah.
So I'd be able to chuck bits of that into ChatGPT or parts of the analysis that maybe need a little bit more elaboration, like how they performed over the past couple of years and whatever. And it's like, oh, your performance has dipped. And next section, we need a bit more of that. And then what you can do, I don't know if you know this, but I didn't know this before like a month ago. Go to Ahrefs, chuck the site in, and it will show you the dashboard of the main stuff. So you say, all right, we'll take a screenshot of the whole thing and save that to your desktop. And then chuck that into ChatGPT and say, hey, look, this is a screenshot of someone's SEO performance over the past couple of years. Describe what you see from an organic traffic perspective.
Yeah.
And then and then it gives you a very nice, and then you can say things like also include how performance may have coincided with some algorithmic updates that have happened, if any, around that time.
Okay.
And then it will say, this dip aligns with this update and this update, and then you could also say, okay, what main things did this update target? What main things was this update linked with? Oh, this update was linked to, okay, write that in second person, make it more succinct, make it less formal, blah, blah. Yeah. And you take that, and all of a sudden you've got a summary of someone's performance that's padded out very nicely in like 5-6 minutes. You've done it. And it's accurate, it's succinct, it's nice and easy to read. And then you can move on to the next part of the analysis.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I'm very much on the I'm very much in the same boat as you, as a late adopter, if you like. But I see so many people being negative about it, and I'm like, well, that's probably because you're not putting the right prompts in. It's as good as your prompts, basically.
Yeah, exactly. It's as good as I like that. It's as good as your prompt. AI is as good as your usage of it.
Exactly.
It's a tool. It's obviously the common answer that you'd hear again. AI is never going to replace humans. No one said it will. Well, maybe some people did, but that's clickbait. AI is always going to be a tool for you to use. It's like machines won't replace humans. You're going to need someone to use to direct the machines and manage and run the machines and program the machines and all this kind of stuff. They'll replace the monotonous labor that doesn't need to. It'll alleviate some of that, but it won't replace humans.
Exactly. No, I'm 100% with you on that. That's really good. But in terms of SEO, obviously Google's using it more and more, aren't they? And are you finding that you're having to change tactics, strategies within SEO to cope with AI, or?
Not really, because and this might surprise, but not really, because our approach with content has always been we've always looked at things on a long timeline basis. Because if you have, so I'll put it this way: if you have a page of content that needs to rank for a particular keyword, I mean, common sense would just tell you, if that's the only thing that you're focusing on, and you're not got 10, 20 other sites that you're looking at, and hundreds and maybe thousands of pages across all of those sites. If you're just looking at that, your intuition, your common sense will tell you that you need to make this page, the content on this page, as useful and as relevant for this keyword as possible. And if you can't, like, maybe it's not the right keyword, maybe you shouldn't really rank for that keyword. Like, why do you want to rank for this? Do you bring anything to
the party?
Do you bring anything to the searchers that are looking for this keyword, and anything that distinguishes you from the people who are already in the top 10 position? Like, do you bring anything unique to, or better than, or at least unique to whoever is already up?
Yeah.
So that's the first question you need to, okay, fine. Let's say you do. Let's say you have something better to offer. Okay, fine. So you need to structure this page according to what value you can bring the searchers, right? So the content goes back. This goes back to your question of AI, right? Because the problem people tend to have with AI content and how it affects SEO is that it's very generic and it might not be accurate, and it's just information that's collated from around the net and brought into one place, and it's not original. It's just a recreation of what's already out.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with that if it fulfills the intent. If the content on this page does its job properly, and it makes it relevant. Like, think about it this way on a philosophical level. Any idea that you have, any idea that comes to your mind is a rehash of what already exists.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
Yeah. Right? It's just that the idea seems to be authentic because it is directly relevant to the context of what you're looking at.
Yeah. So I'm a big fan of... Sorry, no, Karen.
No, I was just going to say, so you've been able to collate all these peripheral data points that you've had maybe growing up, maybe in your career or whatever, and the context arises where you can plot bits of those data points here and there, and then create a new idea. Well, it's not really new. It's just you're new to the idea.
Yeah, exactly. I'm 100% agree with that. I was just going to say, I'm a big fan of Stephen Covey and the 7 Habits. I don't know if you've come across that before.
I've not read that, no.
It's really good.
Maybe I should.
7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it's called. But Stephen Covey, basically what he does is he goes back. He spent his years as a lecturer and studying a lot of content around what makes a person better. And then obviously he goes back to the 1800s and then the 1930s and the 60s, and there's all these different ideas, and you've got what he saw was good old-fashioned values were becoming replaced by external kind of covers, if you like, to try and make somebody successful. And but there were bits in it that were okay that he agreed with, and so he just like took all the data, if you like, that was available over a period of time, put it together, and that's how he's come up with 7 Habits. It's really interesting.
Right.
It's completely irrelevant to SEO, but this is what you were saying.
It is relevant. It is relevant, I think.
What you were saying
to your question.
What he was saying was that, what you were saying was that none of his ideas are new, but what he's done is he's taken other people's ideas and age-old principles of what makes a human being a good person, and collated them in a way that I can read it quickly and understand it. If you know what I mean. So that's great. We all know telling lies is not a good thing.
Yeah.
But why is it not a good thing?
Why is it not good? What makes it good?
Yeah,
what makes it good to not tell lies? Where do you get good from?
100%.
What's the definition of good? Is it objective? Is it subjective? Does it come from us? I mean, this is where we can get very deep into
100%. Yeah, no, but it's just
we can get very deep into morality.
I find it so interesting, but ultimately, if you act like a bad person, you will become a bad person, and people will think of you as a bad person. And the flip side of that is true. Exactly.
And why do people see that as bad? What do they get? What do they get? What?
Yeah.
So, and the answer has been available for a very long time now.
Yeah, 100%.
The information has been out there for a very long time as to what makes a good person, as to what makes a virtuous person. Virtue breaking down into the 4 cardinal virtues of prudence, righteousness, courageousness, and temperance.
Yeah,
that's been available for a very long time.
Yeah.
Right. But then now you've got all these self-help books that are basically rehashing bits of that and coming out with it as their original systems. And and you manifest this and blah, blah, all these random new woo-woo things that are being said now.
Yeah. You're 100% right.
And it's the same thing with AI. And like AI basically just rehashes the stuff that's already on the net, information that people are already talking about. And
comes up
in the context of this keyword and this intent, if it's the right context, there's nothing wrong with using it. There's nothing wrong with implementing that AI written content.
Exactly. Yeah. God, we nearly went off subject there, didn't we?
Yeah. But I see how you tucked it back in nicely,
Oh, that's awesome. But no, I'm a great believer in that. And I like to understand why. Do you know what I mean? It's not just a good thing. It's why is it good, and why
is it good? Yeah.
Why is it good? How can businesses benefit from it? And instead of just being negative and throwing it out, because I think people are scared as well, to be honest, of AI, is what I found. I'm a little bit scared. It could be, if it gets into wrong hands to the wrong sort of people, it could cause a lot of problems. But ultimately, that's beyond my control.
Correct. Yeah, it is fear. Fear is the biggest problem, because fear makes people act in very strange ways when something new like AI comes along.
Yeah.
Whenever you make a fear-based decision, it more often than not tends to be the wrong decision.
Yeah.
100%. This is why it pays to be courageous, and you can only be courageous if you have faith. And the greatest thing that you have your faith in, and I'm not even just talking about from a spiritual perspective. Just like the greater thing that you have your faith in, the greater your courage will be. Because it takes faith to do anything. It takes faith for me to tell you, I'm going to be on your podcast next week. Right? Because I don't know. Maybe I can't. Maybe I'll have a power outage. Maybe I'll, there's a certain percentile of unknown of things that I can't control. So how can I know enough to tell you I'm going to be on this podcast?
Yeah.
Well, it's a leap of faith, and so it's a virtuous thing for me to be able to tell people, I'll see you next week, or I'll be there for you, or I'll do this podcast with you, blah, 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 and then stick to it. But you are unable to do that if you don't have the faith if you don't have faith,
because you're
crippled into inaction.
Yeah.
You're surrounded with doubt. You're surrounded with you're second guessing yourself all the time. You don't know. Maybe I should. Blah, blah, blah. AI. Should I? Is it going to ruin my business? Are we going to? Should we? Maybe we should.
And then the most obvious thing to do at that point is to criticize it.
Yeah. So, exactly. That's so true. That is so true. And that is why the people who have the least direct experience with AI tend to be the people who critique it most readily, because they're fearful that it might replace them. They're fearful that it might render them less useful, or less competitive, or less able to compete. They're not able to compete with it. They see it as something to compete with.
Yeah.
They look state, basically.
There we go. We're putting the world to rights. That's all good. So, final question, Raf. And I'm just thinking of, because we build a lot of websites for smaller companies who want to do SEO, but maybe haven't got the budget for it at this stage. And I'm like, I want to help you. I can't do loads of stuff for free. So basically the question is, what would you recommend someone who's trying to do SEO themselves with no budget? Say you had a site with your knowledge, but no money. What are the things that you would first concentrate on SEO wise to get the site seen?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It depends how little budget you have. If it's zero, are we saying zero? And you just have a site and it's zero. You only have enough for the registrar and for the hosting, and that's it.
You're trying to do it all yourself.
And the Shopify fee. What kind of site is it? An e-commerce site?
WordPress, e-commerce. Could be Shopify or WooCommerce,
Okay, let's say Shopify. Okay, fine. Well, in that case, you got to firstly make the product pages as descriptive as possible, and people like the images need to actually show what the product is, right?
Yeah.
The architecture of the site needs to be intuitive, in that you've got the homepage, you've got category pages that the products break down into, and then you've got and then when you go on the category pages, it's clear what the category page is about, what products they encompass, and there's breadcrumbs to take you back to where you were.
Yeah.
So basically, you've got to make sure that it's structured well. And to be honest, if you're using Shopify, it does a lot of that out of the box.
Yeah.
If you're using a good theme, or you do a lot of that out of the box, there's not really much thinking that you need to do there. You just got to fill the data. All the data that it asks you for.
Yeah.
What this number is, and what the product is here, and you just fill it out. Just make sure it's completely filled out. Give it as much information as possible. And then the second thing I would advise is But you have to be very careful with this, because you don't want to just create content for the sake of it, but to create content, informational and useful content that's relevant to what your products are. But whenever there's mention of a particular product page or a keyword that someone would search to either find the top level category of what the product is or the product itself, that needs to be hyperlinked and linked back to that category or product page. So that's the very important part of actually creating useful content. And then
internal links.
Yeah. And then you would so, and then what you can do is you can, that content that you create, you can see what kind of stuff it might be relevant for, like what kind of information or search terms it will be relevant for. Go on something like Ahrefs and see who's already ranking in the top 10 positions for this, what this informational article ranks for.
Yeah.
And then see what links are pointing to those top 10 sites are, right? So you see what they are, right?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, hopefully you would have done a bit of this competitor analysis before you actually wrote out this piece, because you need to make sure that you're along the right tracks of what other people, how other people talk, and that you're giving something better, right?
Yeah.
So what you do is then if you've got the time, do the manual outreach of say, okay, here are all the people that link to these similar pages. I'm going to reach out to them and say, hey, look, I saw that you pointed a link to this page, this other page, and it's okay, but I've actually got a better page. I've actually got a better article that goes into more depth around this and this and this. Would you be up for linking to me instead? And that becomes a bit of a numbers game. You have to kind of do that at quite a high quantity, but you will get people who respond. And I can tell you from not just agency experience, but personal experience as well. I have a jewelry site, and I did a bit of that too. And you do get people who buy it. Sometimes people ask for a bit of payment. Fine, whatever, cool. As long as it doesn't mention anywhere on the site that they sell links or they do guest posts or anything like that, whatever. But people do often, let's be realistic. People do often understand that they have an asset that's valuable.
Yes,
which is a link from their site, and they are, what do I get out of this? But yeah, so that. What else?
What about things like meta tags and just basic? I haven't done a Shopify site for a bit, so I'm trying to think. Can you get, like with the WooCommerce, you just get a free SEO plugin like Yoast or something?
Yeah. Same with Shopify.
Yeah.
And
you'd recommend doing that as well?
Just get those free plugins. They're the ones that are the most highly used and most well known, and just give it all the information that you can. Even the things that don't really seem. Even the things that don't really seem that important, make sure you just have good housekeeping etiquette when you approach a site, and just see it as your baby that you're looking after. And then sooner or later you'll start getting some traffic. Even if you've got like a handful of links and a few pieces of content, and you've got your products on it, you will start getting traffic. Inevitably, you'll start getting sales here and there.
Yeah,
a couple every week or whatever. And,
that's interesting.
So
it's not impossible.
No, it's not impossible, but it is better it's a very loose and shotgun approach strategy. Let's just put it that way. It would be better for you if you have at least some budget, because what we recommend to people who can't afford the full SEO service, the fully managed service, is we do like a one-time audit where we give them basically a blueprint for what they need to follow specifically for their site, specifically for their niche and what they're trying to rank for. So we would also come up, because even the keyword research, for example, you're going to have to do that yourself. You're going to have to understand what keywords are lucrative or aren't. You might make wrong decisions. You might see some keywords that have high search volume, low competition, and think, oh, that's great. But actually, it's probably like that for a reason, because no one gives a crap about those keywords and they don't actually make money.
And they're not.
But they just bring traffic in for no reason. So if you have the right strategy where just from the very foundation, you've got the right keywords that actually that are lucrative and generate you revenue generating traffic, and those are mapped to all the parts of your site that they need to be mapped to, and everything like that, and kind of builds from there. You have the right strategy from the outset, and then you can chip away at that blueprint as you like in your own time. If you've got like zero budget, put as much together for that audit, and then just use that audit as like your compass going forward for the next like 12 months or so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And just roughly, what would an audit like that cost?
So we do these audits for 3.5K as a one-time order.
Okay.
Basically, it comes in two ways. So the first way, it gives you all the stuff that you'd need, all the essentials, and the second way is an optional wave, and it's like anything that you need help implementing, or anything that needs deeper dives into analyzing, which isn't common, only with sites that are huge or sites that are quite sophisticated with how they're built, or, you know, they might need a bit of a deeper dive, but most sites won't need it. So the first wave is enough. And then you get like a couple consultations alongside it, once when you are given all the changes that you need to make, and a second time, like maybe a month or two after you try to kind of implement everything yourself, just to see if you're on the right tracks.
Make sure you're doing it properly.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's awesome. Sounds great. Oh, well, it's been really good to chat, Raf. I've kind of run out of questions, but
yeah, no, I've enjoyed it. I've had a good time. I think some good stuff was discussed.
Yeah.
Things that are at top of mind in the modern SEO landscape. So good question so far.
Awesome. Thanks, Raf. And I will punt this out there and see how it goes. But it's always good to get the best first. So you're our number one.
I can't take that hell, I'm sorry. But I'm happy to be the first episode.
Awesome. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Raf.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.